I'd like to make a video about a very taboo subject, which is haunting our country, like the specter of communism, as Derrida said in his that book. I don't really understand really what he was talking about, but it seems to me that America is currently haunted by the specter of white nationalism more than just communism. And it seems to be cropping up over and over again in a more rapid at a more rapid pace. Just wanted to make a video about my thoughts on this ideology, this phenomenon, because you basically we're living in America, and I've noticed that it seems like the level of discourse surrounding what's happening right now is very, very, very low, and basically amounts to fuck them or fuck them, whatever side you're on. It's largely very emotionally driven, and there's not a lot of thinking. And I just think that if you don't really address what's happening on an honest level, you're not going to end up with um, you're going to fuck it up even worse. And it's not going to be getting better. It's just going to get more screwed up. And there's, yeah. So I thought I'd give my feelings on it, and what I actually think, and what my opinion is, um, for my own sake, and because I think people should be able to know what the real change sort of that's taking place is, as opposed to the one that the media is showing. Basically, my opinion on white identity. What is this thing, first off? Why am I even talking about this? You're just supposed to just say, oh no, it's bad. That's it. Draw the line there. That's all there is to say about it. It shouldn't exist. There's no reason for it to be there. People are trained to go into hysterics over it, and it's hard not to want to troll them, and to like want to provoke that reaction, because to me it's a funny reaction. It's like a Christian fundamentalist sees a gay person walking around, and they start, what the fuck is that? It's like the same basic psychological phenomenon, uh, as far as I can tell. Because I'm not saying fuck all other races. I'm not saying anything like that. I haven't said anything like that. I understand that historically, a lot of white identity has been tied to that, and I think that really any nationalist movement or ethnic nationalist movement is going to have ethnic collectivist really is going to have an aspect of hatred. I don't know if anyone's even going to be listening to me past this point, because most people have already clicked the dislike button, and they've already said, oh, this is fucked up, and they're not still, the little play thing is not still moving along at the bottom. They've already reached their conclusion. So who's still listening to this right now? Well, people who are kind of crazy like me are probably the only people who have even made it to this point. And we're not crazy, I suppose we're just much more clinically detached from what we see in the world. We don't feel a need to jump to a conclusion, or we have a natural predisposition to want to find out what's going on, and we're not afraid to sit through information that is potentially upsetting, because we know that we don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you just assess the information in a detached way, and then you take what you think is true from it, and you put away what you don't think is true. You look at the ideas. It's not like you accept the ideas, you look at them and you turn them over. And that's how we find the truth in everything, in civilization, advanced civilization. We do that. That's the basis of what makes this country what it is. It's what this country was founded on. Freedom. That's the whole point of what freedom is. It's to allow that to happen. And I think that that principle is being brought to the test right now, I think. And we're going to have to decide whether we're willing to do that for everything or whether we're going to give in to tribalism, which is basically what I think is happening right now. And it actually didn't really start with Trump. It started with Obama. It started with BLM, the popularization of a so-called justice movement, which was there was a massive racist undercurrent to the whole thing from the very start that was ignored by the social justice progressive type of people who saw it as like liberating the oppressor, but it was tribalistic in nature. It wasn't all tribalistic, but there was a lot of that, and a lot of people saw that. So to say that, my point is that to say that it all began with Trump is, I think, very wrong. It began well before that. And I think maybe it began before BLM. You could say there were racist white people, and there's something going on there, undoubtedly. I don't agree that it's a clear-cut case, is all I'm saying. Clear-cut to the point where I would be willing to say that somebody can't come speak on my campus or that this type of speech should not be allowed. I don't think it's obviously so clear-cut that I would accept that kind of behavior. And I think a lot of people have seen that happening, and when they see that, they conclude that this debate is not being allowed to naturally unfold. It's being repressed. It's being controlled with authority instead of being allowed to take place in terms of freedom. So I think a lot of people really reject that. They don't like that. Even if they don't agree with one side or the other, they might have a mild sympathy at the most. They might dislike tons of things about one side or the other, but they see that and they don't like it. They don't respect it, and they just want to see the debate happen. And whoever wins the debate, so be it. However it happens, we can handle it. That's what they think. They think we can discuss this without resorting to air sirens and beating each other up and punching each other. That's what I personally think. So yeah, white identity. Maybe I'm going to need another separate video for this. How long is this? White identity. The ultimate political evil. It's like a... Yeah. Well, basically, a lot of people call it white supremacy now, and I've listened to what some of the more racist or the more openly hateful people on the far right or in the alt-right say about it. And I've definitely noticed there's sort of like two different strains of it. There's the kind that is, fuck black people, fuck this. There is another strain which is it's not about that at all, in fact. It's about the fact that people feel like being a European or being Western, having a sense of common group heritage and tradition is in some way being ideologically outlawed. And I think that's very, 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 very fundamentally different from hating other races and thinking your race is the best and wanting to go control those other people. I think it's the difference between wanting to hurt other people and wanting to defend yourself against undue psychological abuse. And I think that when you look at it that way, you see there's these two strains. One of them is basically identitarianism, is what I would call it. The other one is white nationalism, which is more explicitly, this country can only be white, this and this. How long can this be? I wish this could be longer. I don't know how long it could be. Basically, this all really, really got triggered with the migrant crisis because a lot of people, that's how it got triggered for me, and I think just normal, average human beings that are white or that are come from Europe. I come from there's a sort of like, white. What does white even mean, first off? To me, it just means Western culture, Western civilization, Europe, the UK, Germany, France, Europe in general. That's what when I hear white, that's what I think. It just means Western. It means European. And so I'm part Irish, German, Polish, Italian. I think that's, or Welsh. So that's sort of what I come from, and I'm not like, I don't know. There's a lot I could say about it. I think a lot of times people really hate it, like in a way that they're eager to say that if you identify with your whiteness or really with your European heritage, that somehow that is pathetic. That it's like, don't you have anything better to identify with? I think a lot of people saw that there were lots of other racial groups and ethnicities that are very, very openly like, here's my book about what it's like in China, here's my book about what it's like in Africa, and that's all good. That's fine. I have nothing against that. It's boring to me. I don't think you would like reading about my story about Europe, my European heritage, going to Italy and eating spaghetti and shit. But I could write that. I don't think it would be. I wouldn't want to read it. But the point is that we do have our own identity, just like you do. It's. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. It's not like, oh, I fuck all, Chinese people. No. The point. What I am saying though is that there is, like every other group, we have our own background, our own culture, and our own traditions and way of thinking about things. And I don't agree that that's bad. I don't. It seems very clear to me that with any other group on the face of the planet, that's okay. But when it is a white or Western European person talking about their own traditions, it's almost discouraged. And to me, that's very, very, very clearly a form of discrimination. I know that sounds. It's also, there's going to be 5 people who, if they were watching this, but they're not anymore, they would have said, "Oh fuck, you're just white," like the whole overreaction. Like, you think white people are the real oppressed people? That's not what I said. What I actually said was, it's another form of valid discrimination. I don't understand why that means that I'm saying other groups are not oppressed. I never said that. I said, this is just another issue. I'm putting it on the table, and it seems like to me that it's valid. And here's a big difference I think about this form of discrimination, in my opinion, is that unlike so-called evil, the racism against black people or whatever, I don't see it coming out of the TV set. What I see coming out of my TV set is lots of things showing how racist white people are, and showing slavery, history of the KKK. Every time I turn on PBS or NPR, anything, there's going to be a story about that. So it seems to me that if there's any institutional racism, it's not against black people or any other race. In fact, quite the opposite. I would say that there's a lot of institutional efforts taken to do the exact opposite, and a lot of institutional efforts to show white history, the KKK, slavery, etc. And that's fine. I'm not saying there shouldn't be that. What I'm saying though is I do think that it's conceivable that this has become a form of prejudice, basically. It's become a form of, and it'd be one thing if it was just a form of prejudice and that's it. Wouldn't care too much. But when it becomes that you can't talk about it and it's so fundamentally off the table of polite conversation, opinion, to the point where people are getting you, basically, I'm sure There are people who would love to get me fired from my job, or notify the workplace, and they do this, and this is very real, and this is happening right now. You might not care about it because you don't have to think about it because you might not be European, or you might not give a shit about your heritage, and that's fine. But maybe some people do care about that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So basically that's what the struggle is, and that's why when I see these protests in, the rally, the Unite the Right, I don't like it. I don't really like seeing lots of angry young white men. Like, it just comes off like, I don't know, it's scary or something. It's like gross. I wouldn't like it if it was anybody doing that. Any race of people, any group of people doing that, I'd be like, this is kind of frightening, because it is. It's frightening. I'm frightened by BLM. I'm frightened by the fucking anti-fascists. I'm horrified of them. They're scary, man. They're fucking violent and they're crazy. And it's the same anytime you get a big group of people marching around saying shit. It's like, Jesus, chill the fuck out. But it's on both sides to me. I could say a lot more about this. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think... I've seen these tweets like, if you see these people in real life, take them out. They're Nazis. Notify their workplace. Everyone needs to know this. And, so Keith Olbermann said, like, these Nazi motherfuckers, and there's like 300 likes on these posts. So it's clearly like that's the majority opinion of the average person off the street. That's what they're feeling. And I think that's not good, because it's not going to go away. It's not going to. It's too late. It's like you've created this division between the oppressor and the oppressed, and the white Western male, and the people are just, I think they're so fucking sick of it that they're not going to back down. And you've got these people trying to target these people's workplaces and shit. And it's like, you're just creating you're creating even worse anger, and like you're creating a martyr as well. And I don't like it. I'm scared. I don't want to see a conflict break out between people that's doesn't need. It's like, it's just bad. I don't want to see that in America. I don't want to see people losing control of their emotions and fighting each other, and like, instead of talking, which is what they should be doing. But that conversation is not being allowed to happen properly, because for whatever reason people are so deeply programmed that they won't allow it to happen. So that's not good. That's not something you should be celebrating or be happy about. It's not funny. People's lives are at risk. You're creating mentally ill people who are going to go fucking crazy and drive cars into people and fight. And is that funny to you? Like, am I the only person who's not amused by this and it's like wants it to be properly dealt with? I don't get this. It's like I see these fucking idiots just saying the same things over and over again and beating the fucking war drums on both sides, and it's just, no, I don't understand it. What have I said that is so fucking offensive that you can't even allow it to be thought? I think the reason that people don't think about it is because they're scared, because they know that there's an authority in the anti-fascists and in the media that is going to come down on anybody who steps out of line at all, like, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm stepping out of line. And it's because I've thought about this for so long. I just fucking sick of it, and you have to kind of say what you think, or it's just going to get worse. And like, that's kind of what I've deduced. Is too bad. Maybe I should have said this all a long time ago, but the immaturity in our culture right now it's really scary to me, actually. It's fucked up, man. Like, it is not a good sight to see. And I don't see it getting better unless cowards do not get over their cowardice and say what they really feel, express their thoughts clearly as possible, and try to express the nuanced position that is not on the extreme side of either one, and show that you can be a normal good person and process this information and think it through and try to understand it without turning it into this big fucking explosive struggle and power structure that it isn't. It doesn't need to be like that, basically. It doesn't need to be this giant epic conflict, which is what it seems like people want it to be. That it's like, no, we should take that away from them. I don't want to see that, personally. I don't want to see an epic conflict. I think that always leads to mass destruction, and I think that would be the worst fucking thing that can happen in this situation. So it's really up to us whether we're going to grow the fuck up or we're going to keep letting the 1-year-old babies, the millennials, run the show. So that's it.